Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday night National LifeVantage webinar. My name is Gabe Pearson, and I have the honor and privilege to spend about 45 minutes with you tonight. For those of you that are on for the very first time, I want to welcome all of you. If you are a guest with LifeVantage, I'd like to welcome all of you as well. So congratulations for all the brand spanking new business partners. And welcome if you're a guest tonight. A little bit of background about myself. I have now been with LifeVantage, my goodness, 9.5 years, going on our 10-year anniversary here, right around the corner. Spent 30 years in the fitness industry, never endorsed a product. First time venturing in the network marketing space. It took me 22 months to walk away from that 30+ year career, and that was nearly 8 years ago. So tonight, folks, I have something extremely exciting we want to share with you. I'm extremely nervous tonight. I'm really excited. I actually have someone on tonight that I haven't worked with yet in the 9.5 years, and I shared this with him in Charleston, South Carolina last weekend, that I've been watching him progress and really help educate the entire company about the activation of pathways in this new paradigm in health called nutrigenomics. And he is like one of my favorites. I always go to YouTube, and I would recommend all of you to go to YouTube and listen to him talk about the science. I wish I had him longer than 20 minutes tonight, but you're going to be absolutely fascinated by the way he can articulate this complex science in a very simplistic way. And I've got his bio here in front of me. He was born in Brooklyn, grew up in Long Island, 25 years of education, folks, to become an eye surgeon. He's been in practice for 36 years, private practice in Clearwater, Florida. This is now his 5th year with LifeVantage, and his motto in life is, you gotta believe. And I just want to welcome Dr. Chad Luxenberg to our webinar tonight. Dr. Luxenberg, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Great intro, thank you.
Well, you're certainly welcome, and I really, really appreciate your time tonight. I'm extremely excited to have you share with everyone the excitement on what they're about to find out. And before we get into that, just kind of take a minute or so and just kind of educate the viewing audience on, as successful as you are as an eye surgeon, why'd you choose LifeVantage?
Well, first, I'd like to thank God for allowing me to reach this moment in time. I always say that before I speak. And then I'd just like to say that my name is Dr. Chad Luxenberg, and I spent 25 years, as you mentioned, learning how to become an eye physician and surgeon, 36 years in private practice, and it's an honor to take care of people's eyes, whether it's routine eye exams, prescribing glasses, or doing cataract surgery or lasers for people with glaucoma. But in recent years, government and insurance company intervention in my field of endeavor got me very depressed and unhappy, because the really sacred relationship between myself and my patients was being negatively affected. And I got to the point where I felt like I'd just keep doing this until I would retire, but I wouldn't really make that great intervention in people's lives that I had wanted to do throughout. And then 5 years ago, I found LifeVantage, a company that is health and wellness oriented, doing business in 14 countries around the world. And I tell you, I realized that I could impact people's health and wellness without all of the red tape and interruptions. And that was really groundbreaking. And now I have to say I have great hope for the future.
Yes, so do I. I tell you what, when I saw the ABC primetime news piece in 2009, I was elbowing my wife, Dr. Luxenberg, and I was telling her, I go, honey, that's history in the making. I go, if we can validate this, I think we're onto something. And in 2009, we got hit hard financially. I was in the wellness space. We developed wellness programs for large corporations. And when they're trying to save jobs and they're forecasting for that following year and they're trying to trim fat, unfortunately for the wellness world, we were first on the chopping blocks and we lost 3 six-figure contracts. And that's how I found out about this. And I tell you what, it was a blessing in disguise. Now, I had talked earlier about, we have the privilege of pioneering this new paradigm in health called nutrigenomics. Now, I know there's a lot of people on tonight that have never even heard that term. Can you just kind of walk them through it and help them to understand what nutrigenomics is?
Well, nutrigenomics is the study of the use of natural plant substances to tune up your body so that the proper genetic code is in use at the proper time. We have this huge map in our genes, in our cells, but only certain things are turned on or off at certain times. And what nutrigenomics does is really make our bodies work the way God intended. It just makes everything function properly.
I love to say the same thing. I say it just gets our own body to do its own work, what our body was meant to do. Now, I'm really excited to hear you talk about our flagship product, Protandim NRF2. I know it's complex. Just kind of walk everyone through on why you and I have such excitement for the future with this company.
Well, actually, it is fascinating how Protandim was developed. The NRF2 Protandim was 5 different herbal substances used in Oriental medicine for thousands of years, knowing that it was helpful to people's health, but not knowing how or why. But what the genius of Dr. McCord did was to find those 5 things that all raised antioxidant levels in the cell. He was really just trying to raise antioxidant levels. But he thought that he would do it with 5 substances at low doses to decrease or actually eliminate the chance of side effects from any of those substances, and that they would work together to reach the level of antioxidant production that he wanted. And that's exactly what happened. As a matter of fact, these 5 substances used together in the same pill work 1,800% better than if you have each of the substances separately on the same day. That is incredible synergy. And I like to say that the synergy of the 5 substances is also the synergy of our company, and the whole idea of how the business model, the front office, the distributors, and the people that are taking the product, we're all in a synergistic relationship together.
It's really hard to articulate the culture, unless, you're actually, in like Charleston, for example, to actually feel it. It's crazy. Now, our flagship product, Protandim NRF2, lowers oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. Can you kind of help the viewing audience understand what is oxidative stress, and should we all be concerned with oxidative stress?
Well, oxidative stress is the imbalance between free radical production from oxidative metabolism, which is 98% of the metabolism in the human body, and the production of antioxidants to combat the free radicals. When the free radicals are too great and the antioxidant levels not high enough, we develop oxidative stress. And the new theory of aging is this imbalance. In other words, oxidative stress is aging, dysfunction and cell death caused by too much free radicals not fought effectively enough by a lower level of production of antioxidants.
So when you say free radicals, those are bad guys, am I correct?
Well, free radicals damage the cell. You have to have a certain level because you have to have metabolism. But as in all things in life, balance is of the preeminent importance. So you must have a way of combating the free radicals, and that's antioxidants. I like to say that the cell is like a factory. The factory of the cell has energy production and makes products, but this causes waste. If your factory does not have a system of waste management, then you get pollution and disease and cell, well, in this case, people dying, you know, like the Love Canal in Buffalo, where everybody got cancer because they didn't get rid of toxic waste from the manufacturing in the area. So the cell can die from toxic materials that aren't handled properly. And the NRF2 pathway, which is what Protandim NRF2 is stimulating, is a mechanism to serve as the waste management for the cell.
I love that analogy. Now, I was really blown away with the amount of science behind Protandim NRF2. A couple of things. Can you just start off by helping everyone understand, is it rare or is it common for a dietary supplement to have peer-reviewed studies? And then what is a peer-reviewed study?
Well, it's actually pretty much unheard of. If you go and talk to people that are involved with other products, ask them if they have any peer-reviewed studies. And most times they'll say no. We have 27 from all great universities, independent studies having nothing to do with the company. We just provide the Protandim so they can use it. And in reality, peer review is a very high level. Peer review means that an independent board of doctors and or scientists review your study before they will give it their seal of approval and call it peer reviewed. They review it to find out if the way you structured your study makes sense and if the results seem to follow the way it was set up. And if it doesn't do those things, they won't publish it. And it's my understanding that only about 5% of studies that are asked to have peer review are approved for peer review.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me. I mean, my goodness. Now, what I want to talk about is, you know, this NRF2 activation. And even you've been around for 5 years. I've been around for 9.5 years. It's really, really starting to pick up steam. You know, PubMed in NIH. Can you kind of help everyone understand the significance of this new study of NRF2, especially with Washington State University?
Well, Washington State University, and here it is on the screen. I'm going to read it because it is so dramatic that I think I should read it the way it was written. We may be on the verge of a new literature on health effects of NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. Now that's amazing. Think about that. Now I am always saying, and I truly believe this, that the discovery of the NRF2 pathway in the late 1990s was as important for the future history of human health as the discovery of penicillin in 1924. And you know, antibiotics revolutionized healthcare and changed the whole future of the human race, because think about the Dark Ages. 50% of everyone in Europe died of the Black Plague, and penicillin would have prevented all of that. So now we have NRF2, which is integral in trying to balance our lives so that we can push back aging and live healthier and longer lives.
I've been telling everybody, and this is my own brain talking now, it's my guess, in the next 3 to 5 years, I think the majority of this country, you know, is going to know what NRF2 is. And unfortunately, it won't be coming from people like you and I. You know, our market's just not big, or not market, our platform isn't big enough. But the reason why the majority of this country is going to hear about NRF2 is because of the pharmaceutical world. And the first synthetic NRF2 just came out a few years ago. Can you kind of elaborate and touch on that?
Yes, that is something that was called BG12 in its investigative form, and then it was released as a medication for multiple sclerosis and called Tecfidera. Now, Tecfidera is an NRF2 activator, and it was shown that NRF2 activation has a beneficial effect in multiple sclerosis. And they did many studies on this BG12, and it was approved as a medication for MS. One of the researchers hired by the Biogen company to study BG12 did a comparison of 4 NRF2 activators, BG12 being one of them. And the fascinating thing about the study was this scientist was honest, fair, and told the truth about his study. And what he said was, and here we can quote again, interestingly, Protandim, a dietary supplement consisting of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer and therefore maybe the most suited as a therapeutic strategy. And here he is working for the Biogen company developing Tecfidera, and yet he's talking about how Protandim actually had twice the NRF2 activation effect as their own product. That is amazing.
Yeah, you know, when I read that too, the first thing came to my mind was you can't outdo God, because all Protandim does is activate that pathway that makes survival genes. So simply getting your own body to do its own work, what your body was meant to do, you know, and then you put something synthetic in your body that wreaks havoc on your organs and have drug on drug interactions, you know, I mean, there you go, right? So that's the excitement, folks, that Dr. Luxenberg is sharing with all of you tonight, why he's so excited. It's moving in that direction. And before we move on to our second activator, can you just kind of touch on, to me, this is so interesting, and I just don't think enough of us communicate the enormity of the outcome. On the 10-year study that the National Institutes of Aging did with Protandim and 4 other all-natural products, as well as 5 drugs.
Yes, a number of substances were tested by the National Institute of Aging, which is subdivision of the National Institutes of Health. And what they wanted to see was lifespan in mice, but also, more importantly, and I really want to make this very important point, they were testing health span. Now, if you're going to live to 100 and you're going to be sick for 20 years and can't do anything, that is not what your goal is. You want both health span and lifespan. That means throughout your life, for whatever long you have, you want to be healthy, active, and doing things. So they tested health span and lifespan. And it's interesting, the way they tested health span in mice was the gripping strength of the mice when they gripped the side of the cage, and other techniques of telling if they were functioning properly, not just how long they lived. And they found a 7% increase with Protandim. Now, they found some other things that increased lifespan too, but they had a lot of side effects. For example, metformin, the drug for diabetes, was one that increased lifespan, but you're not going to give metformin to normal healthy individuals. It would mess around with their insulin and with their pancreatic function. But the only natural substance with basically no side effects that had any positive effect on health span and lifespan was Protandim, which is truly amazing. Every one of these 27 studies should blow your mind. This one just totally blows my mind. 7% in the mouse, by the way, was equivalent to about 5 years in a person. So if that was even slightly accurate, we have, you know, gold in a bottle here.
And I understand it's the first time in history that a natural dietary supplement, you know, have been proven to increase, you know, health span, which is just crazy to me, just crazy. Now, Protandim NRF2, I always say has a brother or has a sister or a cousin, however you want to look at it. And I think what everyone needs to understand, the word supplementation is now becoming a word of the past. And the new buzzword is activation. And so can you just kind of walk everyone through Protandim NRF1? What's the difference between the two?
Well, first I want to give a shout out to Natalie Chevreau. Dr. Chevreau came up with NRF1 using the same approach that Dr. McCord used for NRF2. That is taking low doses of 5 natural herbs and hoping that synergy between the 5 would produce the desired result, but with much less chance of side effects because each of the 5 ingredients had such a low dose. I believe she's achieved that goal, which is remarkable. Now, these 5 herbal substances are all activating the NRF1 pathway. NRF2 is activated to primarily increase antioxidant production, although it also turns on genes that save the cell and decrease inflammation and scarring. But NRF1 is totally different. It is to increase the number of mitochondria in our cells, increase the proper functioning of mitochondria, and also protect the DNA that is in the mitochondria. Mitochondria have their own DNA, and yet they are the furnace of the cell. So all of the oxidative stress is really coming from the mitochondria. Therefore, that DNA is exposed to a lot of free radicals and needs to be protected because dysfunction and mutation of mitochondrial DNA are now known to be the cause of many, many degenerative diseases, especially neurological diseases. So what we do with NRF1 is stimulate the health, functioning, and number of mitochondria in our cells, which is really important for brain and muscle function, not to mention the rest of our cells.
Now, I hear testimony after testimony after testimony on how they sleep so much better being on this product, and they have more energy being on this product. So how does that correlate to what you just said?
Well, the studies on NRF1 Protandim showed an increase in rapid eye movement sleep. That's dreams. And that is very, very healthy to have more REM sleep because that's when the body and the brain replenish its energy in the sleep cycle. So it's very important to have REM sleep, and this is known to increase it. Well, I noticed it personally that I was dreaming more after I started the NRF1. And it also gives you more energy, and it makes the mitochondria safer and more plentiful. So there's really no downside to that. It's amazing when you think about it.
What an incredible 1-2 punch, getting these activators to be able to do what it was meant to do. And I tell everyone this, basically getting your own body to do its own work, what your body was meant to do for the first 20 years of life. Because obviously, this, when we're young, our body has an abundance of those, antioxidants that you were talking about, right? But as we start to age, they start to misfire, they start to malfunction. And every decade that we age, you have less and less of them. So I think it's fascinating to be able to turn your body back on, which is fascinating to me.
One of the things about the first study, the one that's on ABC Primetime, and I think you'll discuss this a little later on, but one of the things people don't talk about, they always mention 40% decrease in oxidative stress after 30 days on average. But few people tell you that the study showed after 3 months that you couldn't tell who the 79-year-old in the study was by their blood test versus the 20-year-old. So we collapsed the 79-year-old into the 20-year-old physiology. Again, making the body work the way it was designed to in its prime, bringing your prime back, reversing aging in a sense. And that is really, really fascinating.
And we'll talk about one more study because I think this is fascinating too. Just help everyone understand the significance of upregulating, glutathione by 300%.
Well, I always tell people that if you want to get simple and just get one pithy comment to people, I say, look, I have a supplement that will raise your glutathione level in the body by 300% if you take it daily for 3 months. And that's all I have to tell you. If you know absolutely nothing else about this supplement, that's enough for everyone to take it. I believe the closest anyone else comes with products is 40%. And glutathione, I have a friend, Mike Huey, who used to take 25 glutathione tablets a day because he knew as a bodybuilder and nutritionist and health expert how important glutathione was. But when he started taking Protandim, he threw away his glutathione and no more 25 tablets a day. And you being in the same industry, I'm sure that you yourself being an expert could testify how important glutathione, the most important antioxidant in the body, is.
I've told people this many, many times, Dr. Luxembourg, that if this product, Protandim NRF2, the only thing it did was increase glutathione, I'm taking it, because most people don't understand that's your granddaddy, that's your master antioxidant immune regulator, so that's very, very important. So let's move on to our probiotic, because this is, I'm telling you, this is getting a lot of attention now because of the significance of what our probiotic does that nothing else can even come close to. And kind of help everyone understand, doctors are talking about, gut health as being, our guts being our second brain. Kind of help everyone understand the significance of how important gut health is.
Okay, well, first of all, there are 3 things that we could say that are much better about our product than other probiotics. One is you don't have to refrigerate it, so it can never go bad on you. I mean, you wouldn't want to keep it in the car 100 degrees, but in general, it's safe to travel with it, and you don't have to worry about refrigeration. Secondly, most probiotics only get about 4% of the bacteria through the stomach acid into the intestinal tract where it's going to do its proper work. We get 60 to 80% through, and that's because of the BioTrack technology, the type of capsule that you have. It kind of looks like a baseball to me. It's round, but it has ridges, and it's designed to get through the stomach without dissolving. And then the third thing that's really important is we have something else extra in there called Wellmune. And Wellmune modulates the immune response and gives you a good response to help fight infection and inflammation without going overboard. Again, we're back to balance in life, which I always say, synergy and balance, so important. And what you were saying is, why are probiotics important? The probiotic gives you 5 different cultures of different bacteria that are actually crucial for digestion. They help digest the food before it gets absorbed. They also prevent the absorption of certain bad types of things. They prevent overgrowth with bacteria that can be harmful. And they actually help the neurological response of the intestine to the brain. And what that does is it tells you when you should stop eating. It helps you realize you're full and now's a good time to stop. It's just very, very healthy to have this.
Well, I'm extremely excited that we have this product. I was always the one, and I was just ignorant. I would be the one that would look for the most CFUs. I would always tell, my buddies, well, my product has 20 billion CFUs and theirs only had 10, right? I just didn't understand that stomach acids was annihilating 96% of them. So it was really irrelevant. And then the last product that I'd like for you to share with, and it completes what I call our core 4, or what we call the vitality stack, is our fish oil. We call it our Omega Plus. Kind of walk everyone through the importance of a fish oil and what separates our Omega Plus from everything else that's out there.
Well, the type of fish oil we're talking about is ones that come from cold water fish. In our case, off the coast of Norway or Alaska. And the important thing about these long-chain fatty acids is that they are very, very important for heart, blood vessel, and brain health. Now, we have too much omega-6 in our natural diet, and many of us don't eat enough fish that of this type that would have omega-3 and omega-7 content enough to balance the omega-6. And when we don't have balance, here we go with balance again. My fiance is always teasing me about, I always talk about balance, but the balance here is that if you have too much omega-6, you get inflammation in the body. And inflammation is one of the most important mediators of cell disease and cell death. So we don't want inflammation, and we don't want too much omega-6. By taking this supplement, we don't have to eat fish 5 to 7 days a week. Now, most of us don't do that, so the supplement becomes very important. Most supplements that are omega have only 3. Ours also includes 7, and 7 adds more to the brain health part of it, and it's very important.
Now, I always share with everyone, I mean, I used to take fish oil all the time, and I would just pardon the language, be disgusted with fish burps. How come ours don't have, how come, you know, our product, we don't have fish burps?
Well, they have a lemon lime flavor to it, but I'll be honest with you, I've never taken fish oil before this product came out. And when I've started it recently, I don't have any indigestion from it or any of what you're talking about. So again, the brilliance of Dr. Natalie Chevreau is at work again. It's amazing how it doesn't have that effect. And you wouldn't even know you're taking a fish product if you're someone like myself that's not into fish. Matter of fact, I don't eat fish, so I need this more than most people.
Yeah, you and me both. So just to kind of recap, I've got this slide specifically for you. Just kind of recap our vitality stack to everyone.
Okay, let's say I told you as a doctor that you could throw out all your supplements and all your vitamins, and for $151 a month, you could take care of essentially everything you need for natural health that will keep you away from medications. You know, medications hit you over the head with a hammer. They make your body do things it's not designed to do. There's always some kind of secondary side effect, like the proverbial double-edged sword. These are natural products that tune up your body so you have proper physiology and your body acts the way God intended. And here you have 4 products that just give you everything you really need. You have D3 for calcium metabolism. You have the omegas to help you with brain, heart, and blood vessel health. You have the NRF2, which will clean up your cells and prevent excessive free radicals and oxidative stress, help fight aging damage. You have NRF1 that gives you more energy and gives you the ability to have healthy mitochondria, because mitochondrial dysfunction can lead to things such as neurodegeneration, which everybody is afraid of as they get older. And then you have the intestinal health through the probiotic, and that is hugely important for your health. So I just think if you're going to say you have a budget for your health, go for this, and you've got an incredible start, if not everything you need.
And I think this next slide will just, you know, put an exclamation mark on what you just said. Folks, this is why both of us are so excited to be a part of this company. And I've never heard of the Stevie Awards. It's incongruent with the Oscars when it comes to movies. But the 4 products that Dr. Luxembourg just told us about, out of 3,900 products in 74 countries, it was just awarded the best new product or service of the year in the health and pharmaceutical category. We're not even a pharmaceutical, it's a nutraceutical. So it's a big deal, folks, to be able to have you know, the number 1 product in the world at our disposal, and to be able to, you know, to help people that we love and care for not only from a health standpoint, but from a financial standpoint as well. And that's what I would like to kind of move into right now is who is LifeVantage? I know Dr. Luxenberg and myself have been mentioning this for the last 25, 30 minutes, but it's a publicly traded company that started out as a biotech company. So all of us on this webinar could have bought that Protandim NRF2 in a GNC store from 2003 to 2009. And you heard what Dr. Luxenberg, said about that product. And, store shelves can't speak, right? And nobody knew what oxidative stress was. They thought it had something to do with emotional stress, not how and why we age, or a major contributing factor of how we get diseases. And the company failed. It's a publicly traded company, and the stock dropped all the way down to 7 cents. So the company hired a consultant. The consultant says, come on, guys, this is an easy fix. Take it out of the retail world. It's too complicated. Put it in the oldest form of marketing, word of mouth. It just needs a story attached to it. It's exactly what Dr. Luxenberg is sharing with all of us tonight, the story of our products. And from the time it was in the retail world, from 2003 to 2009, the company never exceeded 3 million in sales. Put it in what we are doing tonight, it grew from 3 million to just under $250 million today. So what I want to share with all of you tonight about this company is the man behind the helm. His name is Darren Jensen. He has 26 years of experience in this industry. And over the last 3.5 years, he's basically handpicked his executive team. And to kind of give you an idea on who Darren Jensen is, he was handpicked to be the CEO of the CEO Roundtable. So he's mentoring, the CEOs of these billion-dollar companies right now because he's the expert in this industry, and we have him on our team. So if you see what this company has done the last 3.5 years or his tenure, he's basically turned this ship in the right direction. Just our last quarter was our largest quarter in the history of the company. So it's extremely exciting to see the direction that he is moving this company in. When Dr. Luxenberg and myself started with the company, we were just a small NRF2 company. And what Darren Jensen has been able to do is turn the company into a nutrigenomic company, which is going to be a $1 trillion industry in the next few years. So really, really exciting to be a part of. And when I got started 9.5 years ago, we were only in the United States, and we only had that one product. Today, we're in 14 countries, as Dr. Luxenberg mentioned. And if you look at the bottom row of flags, those are the countries that you can actually sell to as customers, not as business partners. Our 15th country that we're opening up next month will be the country of Spain. So if you go to Yahoo Finance and you type in our stock symbol and you read the pro forma, you're going to see that this company is projected to be in over 100 markets. And right now we're only in 14. So obviously there's nowhere to go but grow, right? So very, very exciting from a growth standpoint. I know that's why Dr. Luxenberg and myself are so excited. And I put this slide in, I think it makes a statement because this industry, network marketing, is growing by multiples of billions a year. And it's because the advent of the internet. I mean, Dr. Luxenberg's in his home in Clearwater, Florida. I'm in my office in Jacksonville, Florida. We have people, from the West Coast to the East Coast and internationally. Just under 200 people on tonight, and we can touch each and every one of you and help build our business exponentially faster. So think about that for a second. Now, back in the day, you had to get in your car, you had to spend money traveling, then you had to eat, then you had hotels. It took all this time to build the business. Everything is being streamlined. I mean, look at companies today like Uber. Look at Airbnb. And what was Uber's maintenance bill on the taxi cabs last month? I mean, zero. They don't own them. They've gotten rid of the brick and mortar. How about Airbnb? How many millions of dollars did they spend on buying property, right? They removed the brick and mortar from the equation. And that's what this industry is. So if you've heard horror stories about this industry, just like traditional business, there's good companies and there's bad companies, right? In this industry, there's good companies and bad companies, and you just have to do your research. But all network marketing is, folks, is just a different way of being paid. It's literally that simple. So I also want to talk about, the growth on where this company is. I mean, every company in the world, regardless what kind of business it is, it goes through the S curve, right? You have infancy or the formulation, right? And that's basically where we're at, folks. Look at the bottom left of the screen. This is at the very, very beginning. And then you have this little purple star right here. This is what's called critical mass. Or for those of you that are in the traditional business world, that's branding. So if I just mentioned a couple of network marketing companies like Mary Kay or Herbalife or Avon, does a light bulb go off in your head? Well, of course, because they're branded. You've heard the names over and over and over. Now, for all the guests on the phone, on the webinar tonight, if I mention the company LifeVantage, there's a disconnect, right? Unless you just heard about it through the person that invited you. So 80% of growth, 80% of market share is in the momentum phase. We're not even there. And if you go to the Direct Selling Association website and you look up the definition of critical mass, it's when a company does 600 million in revenues in a year. We're just over 200 million. So we're at the very, very bottom of critical mass. We're nowhere near momentum. And in this business, you want to get in early. I think it was Warren Buffett says, and by the way, he owns a network marketing company called Pampered Chef. And look at the financials on that company, by the way. He says if you're going to get involved with this kind of business, get involved at the beginning of the wave, not during the wave and certainly not after the wave. So the last, phase is what we call the stability phase. I call that the too late phase. It would be like all of us going to a brokerage house tomorrow and buying $1,000 worth of Microsoft stock. What are we going to get? A few shares? What if you'd have bought $1,000 worth of Microsoft stock at the very beginning in the late 70s? You're worth millions and millions and millions. Do you get my point? So timing, folks, is everything. And that's why it's so exciting. And that's why Dr. Luxembourg and myself, are giddy about it, because we're first. Now, what's fascinating about this business is it's low barrier entry. And Dr. Luxembourg, if you're still on, you've been practicing medicine for 36 years. And you can take me back all the way back to where you very first got your own practice. Just ballpark, what was the cost that it took you to open up your practice?
About $250,000 in 1982.
I opened my first health club in 1987, and it cost me $500,000, right? But what I had to do, because I didn't have the money, I had to go sign a personal guarantee, and tell them the bank that if I don't pay the $20,000 note each month, they can have my house. Now, folks, listen to me very carefully here. You can get started. In other words, you can own your own distribution business, your own international distribution company for $350, $650, or $1,250. And all you're doing is buying product. And I apologize for not having the 350 example up here. You're buying $300 worth of product. The 50 is your risk. That's the business in the box, what we call the proven plan. It's a simplistic, duplicable, perfected system. And you're buying that $300 worth of product at 20% below wholesale. So there's no risk, right? And then there's a 650 pack, which you're going to get more product. So if you have a bigger family or you want to sample different product, you can get the 650 pack. It's a better value. You get more revenue with it when it comes to your business. And you're actually buying that product at 25% below wholesale. So the 600 of the 650 is just product. And if you decide to become a distributor tonight and you didn't even open your mouth to talk to anybody about this business, but to put it into your body, I can unequivocally tell you, you will become healthier. It's that simple. Now, I'm sure Dr. Luxembourg came in the same way that I did because it's the best value. I came in at the $12.50. You're buying the product at 30% below wholesale. It's there's more revenues that come along with it. You get an event pass with it. So you just get in where you fit in. It's that simple. You're not spending $250,000 like Dr. Luxembourg did nearly 40 years ago, or $500,000 like I did nearly 40 years ago. And all you're doing is buying product. And what's fascinating to me is the cost of doing business. Now, Dr. Luxembourg, when you spent that $250,000, when you just started your practice, ballpark, what was on the balance sheet, under fixed cost? How much it cost you to operate your business?
Well, it's about almost $40,000 a month.
Just my wellness company cost me $50,000 a month. Now think about that, folks. In my company, we only did $1 million a year. So 50,000 times 12, 600 of that million, was going to payroll. And that didn't count marketing and legal and, insurance and leases. I can go on and on and on. And I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing all the work, creating all the, everything in my company, and there was just so little left over. Now, with the cost of getting started, either $350, $650, or $12.50, Dr. Luxembourg, what if your balance sheet said 200? How would that bank account look?
I think that would be pretty darn good. I always think of overhead like the sword of Damocles. You look up and there's a sword hanging right over your head all the time.
Absolutely. So folks, that's the direction businesses are moving in now, is that they're eliminating the brick and mortar. And that's all this business is. And for the entrepreneurs that are on right now, this is what it got me excited. Dr. Luxembourg, let's say that you're the only eye surgeon in the world. All right. In other words, you have no competition. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
That's a fabulous thing.
I mean, you won't be able to retract fast enough because you're going to have too many patients, right? But you're absolutely right. There's no competition. In the eye world, you're the man. Well, folks, that's what we have. There isn't an all-natural NRF2 activator out there. We're first to market. And that's what excites Dr. Luxembourg and myself. Now, on top of, not having any competition, Dr. Luxembourg, what if ABC News comes knocking on your door and says, hey, Doc, we've been hearing nothing but great things about your business. We would like to do a positive spin on it. Would it help you build your business and get a few more clients with no competition?
Of course.
Folks, that's what we have. It's an absolute no-brainer, all right? That's what I saw 9.5 years ago. Now think about this. This is my first time in this business. I've never endorsed a product. The word retirement was nowhere on the horizon, and we were able to walk away 22 months later. And that was nearly 8 years ago. So think about not having to show up to get a paycheck for nearly 8 years. Think about that. It's absolutely fascinating. And what I mean by that statement is what Dr. Luxembourg has done and is continually doing, and what I have done and has continually have doing, is we do something one time and we get paid again and again and again. So imagine this. Imagine for all of you that went to work today, all right? If you worked 8 hours, you probably got paid for 8 hours. Now, if you're in management or on salary, you probably worked 9 or 10 hours, but they only paid you for 8. But that's what you signed up for. Nothing you can do about it, right? How would you like to go to work tomorrow? I mean, you show up to work tomorrow and your boss has this funny look on his or her face and says, "What are you doing?" And you say, "I'm coming to work. I want to get paid." Well, we're going to pay you today what you did yesterday. How fast would you turn around and walk out that office? Well, that's what Dr. Luxembourg has been doing for the last 5 years. That's how we've been getting paid. That's how I've gotten paid for the last 9.5 years. And guess what, folks? It accrues. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's absolutely fascinating. So I'm not going to go into all 8 ways of being paid. I'll give you some bullet points. For every dollar that comes to this company, LifeVantage, the company gives us 48 cents. Now, for all you salespeople out there, you make 40%. I'm not even going to say 48%. You make 40% on what you sell. What does real estate agents get? Most of them share the sell, right? They get 3% or maybe 6%, right? And I can go across the board. Folks, it's unlike anything that you've done. And what's fascinating is Dr. Luxembourg and myself, we were able to start this business part-time, keeping our eye on the prize, right? You know, what's keeping your roof over your head and paying your bills, you keep your eye on. But if you want a secondary source of income, if you want what's today, it's called a side hustle to maybe help you get out of debt, maybe start to pay off your kids' education, or maybe start your kids' education, or more importantly today, if you're a baby boomer or above, catch up to where your retirement should be, okay? This is the answer that you're looking for. This is the vehicle that you're looking for. So in addition to 48 cents coming back to you for every dollar the company gets, that residual. You don't have to be a Michael Jackson and come up with a Thriller album, you know, or J.K. Rowling and write a book and write that book one time and get paid again and again and again. That's how we get paid. So on what we call royalty commission, you know, it's our passive income. It just factor in right around 5%. So in other words, if your business is doing $10,000 a month in revenue, okay, and by the way, that's not you doing 10,000. That's, let's say you have 5 friends, all right, and each of them are doing 2,000, right? You're building a network, all right? Remember, the richest people in the world build networks. Everyone else has a job, right? And what the company is going to pay you is right at 5%. So what's 5% of 10,000? That's $500, right, a month. And if your business stays right at 10,000, you get paid 500 again, and you didn't even answer your phone that month for this business. So this is our income disclosure statement. And if you look at to the far left side, you look at Premier Pro 4. And I'm going to Premier Pro 4 because that's 10,000 a month in revenues. Look at the average monthly payment. Monthly check, excuse me, not payment, monthly check. You're making $1,100 a month. That's a mortgage payment for most of America, right? And that one way of 8 ways of being paid, the residual is going to pay you $500. Well, what if you're like Dr. Luxembourg and you think bigger? What if your business is doing $100,000 a month? That's what we call Elite Pro 7. So when you're a 7, your business is doing a minimum of $100,000 a month. What's 5% of 100,000? Now it's $5,000 a month. Well, look what the average of Pro 7s make. Just a little over $11,000 a month. And we get paid 7 other ways. Now, I am what's called a Master Pro 10. Master Pro 10s do a minimum of $1 million a month. What's 5% of $1 million? How big do you want to build your business, right? So that's 50,000. So look at the average monthly for Master Pro 10s with this company. And folks, this is a publicly traded company, and this income statement has to pass through the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, and the Federal Trade Commission, okay? So you're looking at these. So what I did when I looked at this income statement was I wanted to see what my residual bills were, and I just worked backwards. So this will just give you a nice little indicator of where you want to be. And you cannot take your eye off the prize being your business, what you do full time. Make a few sacrifices. I quit playing golf and I quit surfing, and it took me 22 months to be able to walk away from a 35-year career. And that's when I was a Pro 8. And the monthly income is just a little over $20,000 a month. So think about that. It took me 35 years to have that kind of income. It took me 22 months to create it again. So folks, what I want all of you to do is get with the person that invited you to this webinar tonight and have them walk you through, all 8 ways of being paid. There's 3 ways on the front end. I talked about the back end tonight. You get paid weekly, folks. So there's ways of making money up front fast. But the fortune is on the backside. And have the person who invited you walk you through all 7 ways. And when you get to, the elite pool, you'll start understanding profits are better than wages. So when you start profiting in worldwide revenues, that's when your life takes a turn for the good. In other words, when I go to bed tonight, I'll make money while I sleep. I'm making money in Hong Kong and Japan and Australia and Thailand and Taiwan. And when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll make money in this hemisphere. And I think it was Warren Buffett said, if you're not making money while you sleep, you're going to work until you die. So you're hearing about an opportunity, folks, that has no competition, all right? The timing is perfect, right? ABC News is, was my advertisement, and all I did was point, guide, direct people to that video and put them on the phone with somebody smarter than me. And it retired me in 22 months. So I really hope you take a deeper look. This is just an outline of the opportunity tonight. So get with the person who invited you tonight and tell them that you want yourself a LifeVantage ID number, and get yourself started tonight and next Monday night, same time. Invite people that you love and care for. And we can help you start building a business exponentially faster. And this is just one of many, many ways the company provides, support for all of you. And if you're not interested in the business, I hope you listen very intently to Dr. Luxembourg tonight and you get on that vitality stack. How cool is it to be able to walk into a health food store and not get overwhelmed because you don't know of all the different bottles that you see, what's for you? You've got the Core 4 now. You've got the Vitality Stack, was rated the #1 product in the world. All right. I mean, do I need to say anything more than that? All right. So with that said, thank you so much for being on tonight. Hopefully this kind of helps you to understand the enormity of the types of businesses that's coming your way. And it's removing the brick and mortar, folks. All right. And you're hearing about one business that can really make a difference in people that you love and care for from a physiological standpoint as well as a financial standpoint. So with that said, Dr. Luxembourg, thank you so much for your expertise. It's an honor and privilege to be able to work with you. You totally add value to LifeVantage, and it's such an honor to be able to share everything with you tonight. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for the honor of being on.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for being on tonight. And spread the word. Everybody be on next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. You know, it's always the same meeting ID number. With that said, this is Dr. Chad Luxembourg and Gabe Pearson. Everyone have a great evening. We'll see you next Monday night.